Citizens are waiting for Texas Department of Transportation to provide data that they said should have already been made available to support the need for the proposed State Highway 249 extension. Since 2013, TxDOT has cited increased traffic and expected growth as the basis for the extension that is intended to improve driver safety. As the recently formed Grimes Citizen Advisory Group hosted its first public meeting in Whitehall, a question and answer session with TxDOT officials ended in more questions than answers when related information wasn't readily available. The Transportation Director, Chad Boney, assured attendees that no build remains as a possible option. Precinct 4 Commissioner Pam Finke told attendees that the county recently rescinded its support of the extension with a 3-2 vote, since the latest recommendation is proposed as a toll road with limited access. The proposed westward extension from FM 1774 in Todd Mission to State Highway 105 in Navasota would run south of Mill Creek and Shadow Lakes and Pine Brook subdivisions, while crossing over County Roads 304, 307, and 306 at Yarborough, as well as FM 1748 before connecting at State Highway 105. State Highway 249 interchanges, which include entrance and exit ramps, are proposed at FM 774, State Highway 105, and at some midpoint, which is most likely County Road 304, Public Information Officer Bob Caldwell previously said.
Back in the 70s, our motto was Grimes County, the land of milk and honey. How many of y'all can remember those days? Those green spaces are being threatened today. In May of 1990, 24 years ago this month, TxDOT released a study proposing a 4-lane controlled access highway connecting Pinehurst to Navasota, a toll road. 9 years later, in May of 1999, 15 years ago, TxDOT published the following statement. State Highway 249 is part of the Texas Trunk System corridor that will ultimately connect Houston and Waco. What? The road was right back again. Citizens worried, got angry. The road was stopped. May of 2004, 10 years ago, TxDOT's Bryan District Office arranged for a small portion of the road to be funded. The section of the road from Todd Mission to State 105. With this catch, they couldn't fund the road until 2011 at the earliest. A TxDOT official was quoted in the Navasota Examiner at the time saying that long-range funding is not available for the foreseeable future. We are looking at the possibility of constructing part of it as a toll project. And it appears it is 70 to 75% toll viable. What that means is funding could be found if folks agree it should be a toll road. May of 2014, once again, there is still a road that threatens property, a road that will cut Grimes County into. Once again, TxDOT officials say there's no money. This has to be a toll road. I have a question. How many of you own property north of Highway 105? Quite a few of y'all. The Citizen Advisory Group does not believe that this road will stop at State Highway 105. At some point in the near future, a new plan will emerge to extend this road north of State Highway 105. TxDOT will tell you tonight that this plan does not exist. We ask you to look at the facts, look at the history of the road, and look at the map. We're not seeking answers, but we're also here tonight to say no to a toll road coming through Grimes County.
Well, what is the 391 Commission? It is a legal entity recognized by the state of Texas that provides a conduit to allow a county and its municipalities to have input and say in things that happen within our county. Everything from toll roads to pipeline. Legal entity by the state. What's the advisory group? We are your conduit into that group. We are here to be the voice of the citizens of Grimes County so that we are heard and have a seat at the table. Our stance today is that we say no to the toll road. Expand 105, expand 1774 with existing right-of-ways with state and federal funds. If you don't believe in that, please tell us. We are your voice.
It's really good to see such a large crowd and really just appreciate everybody coming out. That's really important for us to see from the government side that people do care and they'll come out to meetings like this. As you know, or you might not know, but the Commissioners Court did rescind the first resolution for the 249 expansion. Definitely it was a 3-2 vote, and it is public record that the three that voted against or voted to rescind it were Commissioner Krieger, myself, and Commissioner Green. We all said in that meeting is that we did not want to see a toll road go through Grimes County. We'd like to see funds for more expansion of 105. Yes, I've been in all the meetings on the 105, and when they put in the passing lanes, that's great. But that's only going to help for a short period of time, and they have heard our voice on that, but we need to continue to say that. But we do know that makes a difference, and our voices can be heard. We need to ask for right-of-way acquisitions to be used because we already have right-of-ways. There's a lot of room on 105 to expand it all the way into Montgomery County. There are 3 bridges just within 4 miles of the county line of Grimes County, Washington County, and Brazos County, because they all 3 connect right there between the rivers, between the Navasota River and the Brazos River. Those 3 bridges are going to be replaced. One of them is, yes, it's quite old and it's very narrow, but we also need to look at that because, you know, when you start changing out bridges, you start to think about, well, are they going to expand the road? That's going to bring in more traffic from that side. So we always need to be looking out for everything in Grimes County. Today we're working on this project, which is affecting everyone in this area, over to the Plantersville area, all the way up to Anderson, into Navasota. Make sure that we are doing what's best for every citizen of Grimes County. We were talking tonight about how you get fresh eggs in the gardens and the cattle and things like that, and that's what we want to continue to see in Grimes County.
Understand what the purpose of the 391 is and what it does. Is to encourage and permit local government units to join and cooperate to improve the health, safety, and general welfare of their residents, and to plan for future development in communities, areas, and regions so that the planning of transportation systems is improved for adequate street, utility, health, education, recreational, and essential facilities that are improved as communities, areas, and regions grow. The needs for agriculture, business, and industry are recognized. Helpful surroundings for family life in residential areas are provided. Historical and cultural values are preserved, and the efficient and economic use of public funds is commensurate with the growth in communities and areas in the regions. The general purpose of the Commission is to make studies and plans to guide the unified, far-reaching development of a region, eliminate duplication, and to provide economy and efficiency in the coordinated development of the region. At that time, went to a lot of the different meetings talking about the Trans-Texas Corridor, and that's when a lot of the 391 Commission groups were formed. The Commission has to be made up of entities with elected officials, private landowners, and utility companies when the power lines have come across their property. Myself, as well as the county attorney, has worked with several pipeline companies. I have another issue on our plate right now with another lady where the pipeline company is wanting to come in and cut right across the dam of her lake, and it's about an 11-acre lake. She's afraid she's going to lose her dam. So we're trying to work with her to get those people to come to the table, sit down with us. People have the misconception that when you talk to a individual, either from a pipeline company or power line company or a land person that's coming in and telling you that they're going to do an acquisition on your property and that eminent domain that they can take your property. They just can't take your property. They have to actually sit down and negotiate a fair market price with you. The 391 Commission has been here. We may not have been as strong as what we need to be, but we were approached at the meeting in Plantersville about having the Citizens Advisory Group join us as a conduit and as a, I guess, an auxiliary member to try to help bring this issue to the forefront. We do not have any funds. We don't hold any funds by state statute. We don't do that. But we are basically a liaison or a vehicle for the citizens that have concerns to bring the other powers to be to the table to try to work with you to try to come to some kind of agreement.
Been there for a little more than 20 years, so I do have a little bit of a background as well with what's going on with the project over the years. We did have a study back in the 80s. Read through it, seen the copies many times. That was something that was looked into many decades ago. We did look at a route down this way of a connection from that northwest side of Houston up through here, and would have eventually gone up to Waco, which is kind of the idea there. It didn't move forward at that time. We did bring about another study to bring 249 up again. It was mid to late 90s, kind of carried over into 2000. Kind of didn't survive a funding crunch that the state had in the mid 2000s, where a lot of our projects were essentially set aside to be developed at a later date, if developed at all. Some of them have, some haven't. This last year plus maybe, we've had a couple of public meetings, and we did come up with a study area. I have some layouts up here that if afterwards someone wants to look at some of these things, if you're not familiar, put up here right now. But we had a study area, kind of defined where we would be looking at options. There were some corridors within that study area that came about through the process. Final product of that study group was a report saying that we would look into what was the northern route. And that's probably when most folks got a little more intimate with this, because then we started having a couple of public meetings, a little more discourse with everyone to find out thoughts and concerns. And most recently, we have actually looked at from corridors down to routes. It's not an exact route. It doesn't mean that any of those were set so firmly that they weren't going to be adjusted. That's kind of how the process works. You work through an iterative process to get from a concept at all through to eventually a plan. It sits out there on the website as well. And as far as routes go, there was the preferred route that you're all familiar with for the most part. It was, I think, termed B3, but it follows up. It goes to the right, right or east of the lake as it ties into 105. What we're doing right now on this project and since our meeting is trying to refine that more closely, taking into account what you've told us, what others have told us, and see if there's a better way, see if there's options within that alignment to make it a little more palatable and make it the best route it can be. On the environmental side of things, which is not so much the alignment itself, but the study of this entire corridor area and the study area, that's ongoing. I've had several calls on that, asking where is it, what is the length of it, where will it be going in the future. And right now the plan is to have folks out on the ground where property owners will allow them to enter their properties, to look around and do their study this summer. We aren't going to set foot on property that someone doesn't say it's okay to do so. A couple of months this summer, there will be folks hopefully out on the ground looking even more closely at the things we've checked so far. And then into the fall, have to pull all that together and see if it is still the preferred route to take, or if there's changes or options to that that have come about from what you find when you get out there on the ground. We hope to wrap up that environmental portion late this year, which would then turn into another chance to review it by you and present it to the public late in the year. Someone at one of the previous meetings, they wanted to know why we didn't have more specifics or we weren't further with that process. It is not a small endeavor to do this. As I mentioned, those other projects we started and looked into, and they didn't proceed forward at the time, and here we are now back again looking, and it takes time. We don't want to rush into and make assumptions. That's why then we need to get out on the ground and look closer, and sometimes you take a step back, sometimes you make a refinement to an alignment.
I hear that Montgomery County, they know where the road is going. Over here, our politicians won't tell us. Nobody knows. Everything's a secret. TxDOT won't tell us. So why don't we just tell the truth about everything? Are we all gonna have a voice? Is somebody gonna come by my farm and look at it, and look at the creek, and look at this, and look at that? Or if Sam has an in with Lois, they're gonna have a better chance of getting it moved where they want it? Is it gonna be politics, or are we gonna have a set deal so that TxDOT is going to have a pattern where they look at everything equally?
Yes, but we'll be visiting with you, especially if you have property down in that area. We do not have an agenda, a plan of some sort to do something more than to tie in this road at 105. On that form, it even says, if you want to be with anyone as they come out on your property and show them around, if you want to do anything of that nature, you're welcome to. You're welcome to say no. But if you say yes, you're also welcome to write on there, only if it's with me. You call me first, here's my number.
Is there any reason our county officials, like our county judge, can't keep us informed?
You should ask them.
What is the current capacity of 1774 and the current capacity of 105? And what has your traffic counts done? What have you seen in your traffic counts over, say, the last 7 years on those two roads?
In the last 7 years, all of our roads have kind of had some fluctuation, in part to the economy. We had somewhat of a kind of across-the-board downturn in vehicle miles traveled on our roads, and it's now picking up again, which is a good thing, I think, because it means we're hopefully recovering from some of those downtimes. On those roadways, they're no different. They've had some downturns, and now they're kind of picking back up. The numbers I've seen. I think you've seen the numbers that show what it's done over a greater period of time than that. And we're going to have fluctuation year to year, but it has been increasing.
In your traffic counts over the last 7 years on 1774 and 105, what has the trend been, say, from 2007 until 2012, say? What's the trend in your traffic counts?
We take an annual count through our entire system once a year. And if I'm sitting at my desk, I can click on a map and go to a road, and I can tell you year after year after year what that count has shown. And do I have that for those roads? Yes, ma'am. Do I have that committed to memory to tell you exactly everything it's done? I do not. I don't have that committed to memory. I give you my phone number. Anywhere from 2 to 4% per year. And so that's typically what we see on our system. Some roads get more, some roads get less based on what they're connecting and what's happening at each end. Apologize if I don't have that memorized for you.
The problem is that every single time we ask TxDOT, why are we having this road, we hear the same thing. There has to be a purpose and need established. The purpose and need for this road is, you know that because you have to know that, right? I mean, it's because of the growth, correct, and safety. Those are both of the things.
Those are two of them.
So if you want to convince us that this road is necessary, you've got to come with that data. You have to, because the data is necessary for us to understand. And I think that's why we keep on asking those same questions. There's the growth. We don't feel like the growth is there. It's surprising, but it does not prove. Your traffic counts don't. And I don't think the safety data does either.
So we have a problem with both of those issues. Those are your top two, purpose and need for this road.
Right.
And in light of that, I also want to ask you, you said we need to refine this route. And then you said, once we refine this route, we need to determine the options within this alignment. Does that mean the no-build option is no longer an option?
No. The no build is always an option. Yes, we were trying to refine that alignment to make it what it is, the best it can be to compare to the do nothing.
We have 5 railroads that cross our county, 5 state highways. Our county has done a lot for the transportation needs of Texas. And we're starting to look like just crisscrossing everywhere. 1774 and 05.
Okay.
It's not too far
Right.
off from what you're trying to do. And there's a railroad going through there and that high, and all that available right away.
Right.
And why wouldn't you just use that to save all our properties? Is it the time that you're trying to gain, or what is it? Why wouldn't you use that?
When you look at an existing right-of-way, we don't have enough right-of-way out there to expand much more than what we are doing with the 105 Super 2 that we've done through there. 1774 doesn't have the right-of-way available to add the type of facility that we're hoping to.
You have the right-of-way today to make 105 a 4-lane road, and you have the right-of-way to make 1774 a 2-lane with a passing lane. So what is it that's not meeting the need and purpose by doing that versus building this, which will...
Right-of-way on 105 to build a 4-lane road, as you mentioned. Is that not a...
That's not what we've been told by TxDOT, so yes, please explain.
A 4-lane roadway on the existing right-of-way of State Highway 105.
Yes, where you just put the Super 2.
Right. If there is usually in there 100 feet, you're not going to put a 4-lane roadway on a 100-foot right-of-way. That's why you take 21 heading east out of Bryan. If you take 21 heading north out of, or 6 heading north out of Bryan College Station, we had to buy right-of-way to go from the 2-lane road to a 4-lane that you have out there now. And so typically, for just a 4-lane road, now we're talking a 4-lane divided. We're not going to just build a 4-lane road with a stripe in the middle. That's not something that we're comfortable doing. So you're talking a 4-lane divided road. That, on average, 250 to 300 feet of right-of-way is what that requires. And we typically have 100 feet. On some sections of 1774, we may even have 80. But let's assume we have 100. I don't think that we have the 100, but let's just assume we do. That's not enough for a 4-lane roadway, as you just mentioned. That's the facts of it.
So we don't need a 4-lane on 1774. Yes, ma'am.
It was mentioned earlier that the purpose of this is to connect Houston to Waco. And, I mean, over the last 20 years, we've seen Highway 6 grow exponentially from a little 2-lane road all the way to 4-lane, all the way from Navasota to Waco, from Hempstead to Waco. Why can't, I mean, if TxDOT has spent the kind of money to do that, why can't you continue it? And you didn't make that a toll road. So why can't you continue that on the existing roadway that we already have?
I was a part of the 6, the 21, now not the 6, say down here in Grimes County, that's been there for a while. Those were at a time when we did have more funds available. We had funds to buy right-of-way. As I mentioned, adjust the utilities and construct a 4-lane divided road. On 105, we've had the funds to build the Super 2. We don't have the funds right now to go buy the right-of-way and build the 4-lane divided roadway that, well, you would assume that we had the right-of-way there, but we do not.
I have a quote out of the newspaper from Mr. Caldwell. Says, "We will work with the community to address various requirements and needs," Caldwell said on Tuesday. "This project must be fully supported by the community for it to be successful. If not, there are many other communities in Texas that would welcome TxDOT's support and funding for projects important to their communities. It sounds like there are funds available, but y'all are holding us hostage for that.
There are some funds committed to this project that were
Why?
stated in,
Why?
Is this a toll road fund
Why?
that you're working on?
no, those funds that were mentioned, and I believe they were stated in the same article she's reading, were funds that were committed by, I would say from the commission to say, from the Highway Commission to say, we are going to get this roadway constructed from its terminus toward Houston in sections and tie in to 105. We have an amount of money that is set aside or allocated, budgeted, however you want to say, towards the Grimes County portion. Now, it doesn't cover the full cost of the project as we estimated today, but that's where the tolling portion comes in.
But wouldn't it still be cheaper to buy 200 feet since we already have 100 than to buy the whole 100? I mean, the whole 300?
If you were to go and purchase right-of-way next to that existing road that we have out there, say we have 100, let's say we need 200 more. You could do it 100 either side, 200 on one side or the other. But drive that road. There's businesses, there's houses, there's utilities that would have to be moved. There's improvements. And that's the negative or the downside of widening an existing road. It is more costly to buy right-of-way adjacent to an existing road. Property there, we buy it based on a fair market value based on an appraisal. I guarantee you that right-of-way is going to appraise for much more that's got a house or a business sitting on existing 105 than property that is not on 105.
I'm trying to understand a little bit more about the need. The portion of this 249 that's in Montgomery County, that's a done deal. The no-build option really is maybe about this big on it, or smaller.
It's kind of three sections we're looking at. There's ours, which is in Grimes from 1774 on. We're studying that. There's the piece that goes through and around the community there, Magnolia, and ties back in at 1774. And then there's a portion to the south of that.
But the one in Montgomery County, it's further along than this one is, correct?
I'm not in on their daily activities, but I would say they're further along than we are.
If they build their portion and it ends at 1774 and dumps all that traffic onto 1774, then TxDOT has actually created the need to do something. That's a TxDOT created need because all the people that are going to the new 249 and all the people that have used 249 and got off of it are on a farm to market road. That's kind of a manufactured need. Is really the only need that I can see out of the numbers that I've read.
I respect your opinion, but I think when you're looking at traffic, we need to do something to the traffic that is already traveling those roads now. When I've driven through there, I don't see a lot of right-of-way and a lot of ability to turn that into something that's going to handle as that traffic comes on 249 that direction from the south. So we've got to do something. Now, if their chosen alternative is to not take it through town, jump over the tracks, and then go right up through town, then that is what works for that area, and we will have to try and deal with that. If we end up needing to deal with that by it then feeds 1774, and we have to figure out another way to handle it than what we're trying to do here, well, that's what we're here for, working on.
This road's not really for us. It's for the people that are going to be passing through here. And the way it's currently designed with the Super 2 and limited access and toll, I mean, that's not going to help people living on 1774, 105 that are the current traffic on 1774, 105. I see it as inevitable, but in its current state, I don't see it as being for us. And maybe that's what Grimes County, and we need a 4-0 vote of our commissioners to tell TxDOT, you need to, if you're going to build this and you're going to put this on us, that it needs to be where it benefits us and it's for us as well as the people passing through.